Good afternoon. So, how's everybody going with the end of their winter? We have some very, very beautiful weather here this week in the mid Hudson Valley of New York. And one of the things that I like to do is I don't wait until the start of spring to start my spring cleaning. I like to get it done before it starts. So, if you're like me, the more you clean, the bigger the mess you make. But that's because kind of a little bit of a Tetris style hoarder, and I find it difficult to let anything go because I could possibly use it for another gathering, or somebody might use it and it could still be useful. So I don't like to just get rid of things. But what ends up happening is I have all these little things Tetrised into all the corners of my house, and I forget that I even have them until later when I'm trying to clean up, and they're really just in the way. And that's very, very similar to the way that a lot of us live our lives and deal with our emotions and our memories. We lock them away deep inside and we forget that they're there until something triggers them and makes us unpack them, and it becomes this mess. So it's important to find your own way of doing your own shadow work to stay on top of it so that you don't get overwhelmed. When you first start, make sure you've got a little space to make a mess in because it's going to be messy. Now, Monday is full moon, and it is full moon in Pisces, and it is the last full moon of the winter season. And in 2 weeks, it'll be new moon in Aries. So it'll be the first new moon or the first moon phase and moon cycle of spring. It's a really good time frame to do some of that unpacking and purge what you don't want to keep and reorganize and find better ways to store what you do need or do want to keep. So I like to have a fire for that moon if the weather is cooperative, and I think we're going to get lucky. We're looking at like a 60-degree day on Monday here. So that's what I'm doing is I'm going through um, some of the stuff that I have that's magical and symbolic that is old, and I don't need to keep it anymore. I need to let it go. Simple little things like, you know, I've got these, and they're kind of cool, and I kind of like them, but they were made with the leftovers of stuff that I used for a particular ceremony, and the purpose of that ceremony has already been dissolved from my life. So it's kind of not too, I don't think it's really healthy for me to keep them. So rather than take them down and pack them up and find another way to store them and keep them in a corner where they're out of my way until I find another use for them, I think those are going in the fire. Lots of other things too. I collect all my herbs and I save them from different harvestings. And sometimes, you got to be mindful because they get stale, they get old, they get dirty. You really don't want to use them in something fresh going forward. So I'm trying to do a dual purpose. And as I go through everything and trying to make time this weekend to purge through and clean up, I don't want to just throw everything away. I want to go through it carefully and I want to figure out what is it that still serves me and what is it that I want to continue to study and what is it that I need to really just burn with fire and make it go away. Maybe it's good for somebody else and I can give them stuff. But a lot of this also has to do with all the different things that I've learned in my path. I'm not a young woman anymore, and I've been doing my practice and walking my path for many decades. And things that I thought were so important to how I worked my magic and worked my practice, say 30 years ago, 35 years ago, they don't have any meaning to me anymore. But I still have all that writing. I still have all those little things locked in my head and sometimes in journals and notebooks. And those are things that I will probably never get rid of. I just won't use anymore. But then there are other practices that I had adopted from other people or different exposures. And I've later discovered that I wasn't really being authentic in how I was using them, or they really just didn't work in my life. They were not conducive to the work that I was doing for myself. So I've had to let them go. And sometimes it was ceremoniously, and other times I just let them fade into obscurity. That's all for you to decide what's going to be good for you and how you need to do it. And hopefully, it's not as a messy experience for you. But that's all I wanted to talk about today. Sometimes you got to do the messy work so that you could really get to the better work that you want to be doing all along. And honestly, there isn't really anything better than anything that helps you feel more comfortable being you, and anything that helps you develop your own ideals and your own space. That's valuable work, and life is magical. You're magical, and trust me, you're worth the time if you can find it. Um, if you can't find a big chunk of time, then just find little bits of time and go through things slowly. Try not to let it overwhelm you, because if you do, and between work and school and family, you can't pull everything out at one time, try to do it in little bits. Don't really put it off, because then it just keeps building up more. Anyway, I have work to get back to. Have a great day, and I hope you enjoy this last couple weeks of winter, and have a smooth transition into a happy spring. Bye for now.